Shalom Makim Wakwaf. First and foremost, I want to start by giving all the praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai Ba'ashem, Rachakwadash. The double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone who rule well, and as always, peace and blessings unto the hopefully elect tabernacle of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And I wanted to do a lesson, and this is in addition to this article that I came across. It's from silverdoctors.com. They give you the financial news, dealing with the gold and silver markets, the live market prices, so on and so forth. And in this article, the individual leaves a testimony of what he went through during the Bosnian War, going back to the early 90s. And if you want to, get a better understanding on the Bosnian War, you can go and look it up. It was you had a lot of political division going on in Yugoslavia, and it led to the breaking up of Yugoslavia. And certain countries started to take certain sides, and before you knew it, it was an all-out war, and it led to a total societal collapse. They had an economic collapse. As a result, there was a lot of bloodshed, a lot of genocide. It wasn't safe. It was access to certain commodities and services were limited. Um, People turned into monsters, and everything that you hear from the story should remind you of what the prophecy says in second Ezra, the 15th chapter and the 16th chapter, about what we're getting ready to go through. So this is giving you a shit hit the fan scenario to the max, because they was in the thick of it back then, and the times that we're coming into, we're going to be in the thick of great tribulation, great trouble. All right, the Lord said, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning." All right, not to this time, nor ever shall be. And it's going to be so bad that the Lord's going to have to shorten that time of calamity, because if he didn't, it won't be a single survivor. That's when we're going to know for sure we're in the time of Jacob's trouble. We're going to be put to the fire and brought through it. All right, but we have scriptures to comfort us. It tells us in Job that we will be delivered, from 6 troubles. At the 7th, they shall not touch thee. So, I'm gonna read. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but I'm gonna try to read as much as possible. And we're gonna definitely cross-reference it with scriptures, because when I read through, I was like, wow, you know, this person was in the thick of it, man. And it's just giving you a sneak peek to what we can possibly see arise in the coming months, leading to the time of tribulation, Jacob's trouble. All right, and we gotta definitely be mentally prepared. It says, "And knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times and the strength of thy salvation." All right, these people gonna bug out. These people have no clue that the Lord is pretty much gonna, set these people to a time of calamity, man. You're gonna be snared in an evil time. Let me get that in Ecclesiastes. That's why the Lord gave the charge to his men, not to be charged with servitude and drunkenness and the cares of this life, because that day will come upon you when you least expect it. But we already see what's leading up to it, because we see what's happening now. We see what our enemy is doing. He's coming down with great wrath. He's setting things up. So let's get real quick, Ecclesiastes 9 and verse 12. So we know we know what time that we're in, because we're measuring the times diligently as it is written. All right. And that's to keep your mind focused on prophecy. You're keeping up with the prophecy, so you already know what to expect. Ecclesiastes 9 and 12, it says, for a man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net. And as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time when it falleth suddenly upon them. And that's why it says in Proverbs 22, the prudent foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. So, we're not gonna, like it says in First Thessalonians 5, lest that day should overtake you as a thief. You have no need that I write unto you. All right, First Thessalonians 5:1. But of the times and seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. When they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. And in the account in Second Esdras, the 16th chapter, it talks about how the Lord's going to bring plagues upon this place, and it's not going to be slack. At any moment, it's not going to slack. All right, the Lord's going to turn it up. All right, and dealing with contractions, you know, there's periods, when she's feeling it and it hurts, and then it'll slow for a little bit, and then it'll hit again, and it'll hit even worse than the first time, and then it just happens consecutively. All right. Well, that's how the Lord's gonna, bring the pressure upon this world. All right. Second Ezra 16. Second Ezra 16 and 17. It says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? Because Ezra was seeing this in a vision, and he was, placed right in the midst of it in the vision. So he was basically saying, woe is me, you know, sorrow, sorrow, who's going to deliver me? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars. All right. And, we see what's happening over there on the other side of the world, with Russia and Ukraine. And we know that what's going to eventually come over here to the States. It says, and the power shall stand in fear and be the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague are diseases, tribulation and anguish. So we're going to go through that pressure. Are sent as scourges for amendment. And the word amendment, Nate tried to say it means judgment. No, amendment means to change. All right, to see if you're going to actually change your ways. But our people are not going to be mindful. Like it says in the very next verse, they're going to continue on in their sins and not even consider that the Lord is the one that's bringing this calamity upon them. It says, before all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. All that's been happening throughout the world, and even in this country, people still are hardening their necks and being even more bold, even more proud. So the Lord has no choice but to turn it up. All right. It says, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Now let me jump down to the point. Uh, verse 37, it says, behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the ninth month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her great birth pains. It's like her birth great pains compass her womb, which pains. When the child come forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. All right. So I'm actually read this, and you'll see how it correlates with what we're gonna actually deal with. And this person actually, he was in it. He witnessed it. He seen it. He survived it, and he lived to tell. So this is just to give you a sneak peek of what can go on when shit hits the fan over here in Babylon. So it says, many in the precious metals community are eagerly for anticipating a complete systematic collapse of the financial system because as preppers, they expect to not only survive, but to prosper in a shit hit the fan scenario. We suspect, however, that the following must read account of surviving the Bosnian War in the midst of a complete collapse of the grid and financial system will be eye-opening in just how difficult it is to survive a full-on Mad Max scenario, even if one has spent years preparing for it. All right. So it's not going to be easy. All right. Having to live through such calamity. All right. A lot of people usually don't survive these scenarios, man. Especially people that's used to being comfortable. Their mind isn't prepared for such, troubles. You got Jake that's always wanting to turn up and party. So they're definitely not going to be prepared because their hearts is overcharged with surfeiting and drinking and partying and the cares of this life, man. You know, the scriptures say to cast away, burden thoughts and put off now the weak nature, man. All right, because hey, we go into a scenario where you can pretty much lose everything. Everything can come to a loss. It'll just be you. All right, and that's why it says that in Second Ezra 16 to be even as a pilgrim. Even so, oh my people, hear my word, make you ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. So you're gonna have that mindset of believing that you leaving everything behind instead of being fully attached to it can actually save your life. You see, because yeah, and we live in this world, and the scriptures say we use the world, but not as abusing the world, because the fashion of this world passes away. So you don't want to have a full attachment to the things of this world, or you'll end up like Lot's wife. All right. So be willing to lose it all for Yahweh Shai's sake, man. You finna gain life eternal. So it's not gonna be easy, man. This is part of walking through the straight gate, as it is written. We must, suffer the straight things to make it into the wide. And I'm roughly paraphrasing Second Ezra's seventh chapter. All right, we gotta suffer through straight things first. So it says, I am from Bosnia. Between 1992 and 1995, it was hell. For 1 year, I lived and survived in a city with 6,000 people without water, electricity, gasoline, medical help, civil defense, distribution service, any kind of traditional service, or centralized rule. And just imagine if you live in a city and you don't have these things, your chances for survival is going to be a lot more smaller. All right, it's going to be a lot more limited because in the city we're dependent upon services already made available to us, and we got running water. Got the water company that when we pay our utility to keep the water on. You got electricity. You got to pay the light bill, the electricity bill. All right, then we go and we get gas, and we're dependent upon these necessities, medical help. But just imagine when all these things run out, and just imagine when your emergency services is cut out. You can't call 911. The operation service is down. You can't, the ambulance ain't finna come because it's gonna be so dangerous. That's how we're gonna know we in the midst of it, man. It says money soon became worthless, and that's what's happening with the petrol right now. It's becoming more and more worthless. The more they keep spending, the more they keep printing out more money, the more these other nations are starting to realize the worthlessness of the petrol and are going the alternative route. Especially with the recent moves made by Russia with the ruble. If you want to buy some Russian gas, you got to convert to the ruble, and that's going to help take away more value from the dollar. And then he has gold reserves as well that backs it. Same with the yuan. So every day the money's becoming worthless. So we're seeing the same signs, man. It says we return to an exchange for a can of Tushonka. Think Soviet spam. You could have a woman. So it was so bad that for a can of Soviet spam, you can get you a woman. A woman would sell her body to you for a fucking can of ham. So that's how drastic it was. And for you, so you women that are living at ease, like the scriptures say, rise up, you women that are at ease. Hear my speech, you careless daughters, man. You know, you got it good right now because you can do well for yourself in this society. But just imagine when shit hits the fan, you're gonna be the most vulnerable, and you're gonna mourn because you don't have that's the security that you're used to. So you might want to get in order now, man, because it's gonna get like that. You're gonna lament for the teats, because the venture's just gonna fail, man. The gathering shall not come. That's what's gonna happen. And we're already experiencing on a low level scarcity. It's gonna get worse. They say it's gonna continue to get worse, and the price is gonna continue to go up. So just be mindful. It says arms, ammunition, candles, lighters, antibiotics, gasoline, batteries, and food. We fought for these things like animals. And that, hey, it's gonna kick in, man. I mean, you already see how people are becoming right now. All right, people are just, they're losing it. A lot of people are lacking self restraint. Incontinency is at an all time high, man. The people can't control themselves. They can control their anger. They're operating impulsively. People are quick to get violent. It says that the Lord said it in Matthew, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But just imagine people in that spirit while there's a lack of bread, a lack of resources. It's going to be unsafe anywhere you go. It says, in these situations, it all changes. Men became monsters. And you're going to see it, man, that beast-like nature that our people can become when there's a lack of bread. You're going to see that happen in real time. People are not going to be able to trust each other. And they showed you that in these different movies, man. They formed mobs and stuff. They was preying on people, searching homes with weapons. They showed you in movies like I Am Legend, The Road, all these apocalyptic movies of how people had to move in order to survive, you know, while everything is in ruins. It says strength was in numbers. For a man living alone, getting killed and robbed was just a matter of time, even if he was armed. Which shows you what? That it doesn't matter if you have a weapon or not. If the Lord ain't with you in that day, then you're going to be given to something. All right, such as for the sword to the sword, such as let me get that Jeremiah 15. So if the Lord got your number, it doesn't matter what you do. All right, let's go to Jeremiah 15 real quick. Jeremiah 15 In verse 1, it says, Then saith the Lord unto me, Though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be toward this people. Cast them out of my sight, and let them go forth. And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, Whither shall we go forth? Then thou shalt tell them, Thus saith the Lord, such as are for death to death, and such as are for the sword to the sword, and such as are for the famine to the famine, and such as are for the captivity to the captivity. And this is judgment, man. All right, the different forms of judgment. So if you're not in the good graces, man, the blood of Yahushai doesn't cover you, then more than likely you're numbered to something, man. All right, and your bow and your sword is not going to do nothing for you, because you got dudes in Israel that live by the sword like Esau. They think that that's going to get them through Jacob's trouble. This is Psalms 44, and in verse 4 says, Thou art my king, O power, command deliverances for Jacob. Through thee we will push down our enemies. Through thy name will we tread them down that rise up against us. And there is going to be an insurrection against those that fear the Lord. So Esau, he's going to rise up against us eventually. All right, it says, For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. But thou hast saved us from our enemies, and hast put them to shame that hated us. So the Lord is ultimately going to save us, man. All right, he's gonna give us that helping hand. Let's go to Job real quick. So what's going to deliver us is far greater than an arm, a fleshly arm. Job 5 and 19, it says, He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yeah, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. All right, if you didn't do evil, then the evil is not gonna come to you. All right, but we're gonna go through the tribulation, but the Lord's gonna deliver us out of it. It says, In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. So in the midst of war and bloodshed and conflict, the Lord's gonna make sure that we're kept safe, from it. All right. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beast of the earth. All right, so obviously there's going to be something divine that's going to preserve us through it. More than likely an angel, or so we're gonna be all right, man. But the Lord's gonna bring us through it. We're gonna see it. We're gonna witness it. But the Lord's gonna make a way for us to escape it, man. All right, and we're gonna have to step out on faith. So let's go back. A matter of fact, yeah, let me get Second Ezra 15. Second Ezra 15, and let's see where I'm gonna start at. I'll just jump to the point. Second Ezra 15 and 14, it says, Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And that's what you saw with the Bosnian war. It was major division. All right, they was in political turmoil and they was divided. So it was a lot of uprisings going on, and it led to a total societal collapse and also an economic collapse. And resulted in massive casualties, a 3-year war. All right, so you could we're going to see signs of things like that happening over here in America. I mean, we saw what happened for the past few years. All right, with these different militia groups and these Democrats and Republicans, these conservatives and leftists, having a war of words against each other. These Edomites, they're about ready, man. Go back and revisit that Patrick Howley video. You know, they're against the globalists. In the left, their support, they're major support, they're pushers of the NWO of the globalists. So these Edomites are totally divided. So it's gonna happen, man. And then Jake, you already know, in the midst of these type of times, they always put Jacob as the face of whatever that the world is in outrage at, and then they're gonna try to make Jake the face of terrorism. It tells you that in Isaiah the 19th chapter that Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. You see, so yeah, it's gonna go down, man. It says, our city was blockaded by the army, and for 1 year, life in the city turned into total crap. So what is he describing here? That they set up blockades, or they cast that trench, so to speak. Okay, where you couldn't go through, into the next city because everything was blocked off. Well, that's what it's describing here in this chapter. Second Ezra 15 and verse 16, it says, "For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes." So they ain't gonna care about their legitimate government. They're gonna be trying to overthrow each other. And the courses of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall go into a city and shall not be able, because you're gonna have blockades by the troops. All right. That was what was going on then, and that's what's gonna happen here in Babylon. Okay. It says, "For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." Because people are gonna be setting traps, to try to get food and survive, and you ain't gonna know who to trust. There's gonna be a lot going on. So people are gonna be afraid to leave their homes. It's not gonna be safe to walk outside. All right. That's when you in the thick of it, man. It says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods." And Nate broke this down wrong, because he's saying that missiles is going to destroy the houses. No, that's not talking about missiles. That's saying that people are going to bum rush your home and tear your furniture, tear everything up, looking for food and what they could get their hands on for survival. All right, that's what that's talking about. And if you happen to be the only man there, and the Lord ain't with you, they're gonna come in there and they're gonna overtake you. They're gonna lay you down. Okay. If you a woman and you living on your own, hey, you're gonna become spoils. It says, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Right? Shortage of food supply, man. So, basically they had to survive, and Esau lives by the sword. So that they had the weapons on deck, right? It says, our city was blockaded by the army, and for 1 year, life in the city turned into total crap. We had no army, no police. Yeah, the city's gonna be the worst places to live during this time. All right, because that's where most of the population dwells is in the cities. People stacked on top of each other, living right next to each other, in close proximity of one another, and that's what makes it dangerous. It says we only had armed groups. Those armed protect their homes and families. It says when it all started, some of us were better prepared, but most of the neighbors' families had enough food only for a few days. Yeah, and the markets only have enough supply for a few days. So once people panic and run in and start rushing the stores and grabbing everything, that's going to be shortened. So when there's nothing left and the trucks stop coming in, because they not about to drive into no trap, have people stop them and snatch them out of their trucks and open up their truck and snatch everything out, right? It says some had pistols, a few had AK-47s or shotguns. After a month or two, gangs started operating, destroying everything. Hospitals, for example, turned into slaughterhouses. There was no more police. So it's going to that's straight up total anarchy, man. About 80% of the hospital staff were gone. I got lucky. My family at the time was fairly large, 15 people in a large house, 6 pistols, 3 AKs, and we survived, most of us at least. The Americans dropped MREs every 10 days to help blockaded cities. This was never enough. Some very few had gardens. It took 3 months for the first rumors to spread of men dying from hunger and cold. And that's what's gonna happen, man. People gonna be dying from hunger. And if you ain't got no electricity, you ain't got no in the winter time, you ain't got no heat. So that means what? You're gonna be cold, especially up there. With Bosnia, Serbia, them Serbians, and it's cold as hell up there. All right. Talk about a dark winter, a dark cold ass winter, and then there's no food. But over here we used to being so damn comfortable, good weather, good abundance of food. These people ain't gonna know what hit them, man. It's gonna catch these people. And it says, hey, because you dwell careless. You're given to pleasures and dwell careless, man. It says we removed all the doors, the window frames from abandoned houses, ripped up the floors, and burned the furniture for heat. And that's smart, man. Esau got sense. Jake, there's a lot of Jake that would just bug out, man. You're gonna have to use your head. It says many died from diseases, especially from the water. Too, from our own family, we drank mostly rainwater, ate pigeons, and even rats. Woo, damn. So they had to resort to eating food which to us is abominable. They had to resort to eating that shit, man. Rodents, unlawful meat, and then they was drinking water and died from the pestilence, man. So come on, man. That is all around tribulation. And the scriptures warn about that, man. Pestilences. He that survived, was it? I think it might be back in the next chapter. He that survived the hunger shall the sword destroy. I mean, it's going to be a lot going on. Let me see. Yeah, Second Ezra 16 and 22. It says, "For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy." And the dead shall be cast out as dung. So it's gonna be dead bodies everywhere, and there shall be no man to comfort them. for the earth shall be wasted and the city shall be cast down. All right. So let's go back, and I'll just finish reading this part, and then we'll close out. It says, "Money soon became worthless. We returned to an exchange." It's like I think I read. Did I read that? I think I read that already. Actually, no. Unless yeah, it's like yeah. Okay. He mentioned it up here, and I read it up here, so he reiterates it here again. It says, "Money soon became worthless. We returned to an exchange for a tin can of Tushanka. Think spam, Soviet spam. You could have a woman. It is hard to speak of it, but it is true. Most of the women who sold themselves were desperate mothers, and they're going to be in mourning, man. Having no bridegroom, there's nobody there to protect them. So they got to go out there in order to survive. They're gonna have to sell themselves because they're not they would the women are not going to be the ones out there going around hunting for the food. They'll go out there and they become a prey. So they're gonna have to be out there seducing men and you know giving it up so that they can get have something to eat. This is the reason why Isaiah 4 says what it says. That some of our women, when they see the calamity and the hell, they're gonna know that they're gonna need that protection, that security, because the Lord's gonna be with his men. Because not every man is gonna be um more precious than fine gold. A lot of men are gonna die in the war. They're gonna be drafted. A lot of men gonna be dying out there in the race wars and you know everything that's gonna be happening. So it's gonna be like a shortage of men. So that's why it's gonna be like 7 women to 1 man, and they're gonna have to share that man. They're gonna be desperate to want to marry him to take away that reproach. At least they won't have to go out there and sell themselves. It says arms, ammunition, candles, lighters, antibiotics, gasoline, batteries, and food, which we read. We fought for these things like animals. In these situations, it all changes. Men become monsters. It was disgusting. All right. And then he just, he just breaks everything down. Okay. Strength was in numbers. A man living alone, getting killed and robbed was just a matter of time, even if he was armed. Today, me and my family are well prepared. I am well armed. I have experience. And this is not how we're going to prepare ourselves. All right, we're being prepared, all right, spiritually and putting our minds, you know, getting our minds ready for the worst, knowing that we got to endure it in order for us to make it to salvation. The scriptures talk about being, girding up the loins of your mind. All right. And you know, Esau did it by carnal means because he's a carnal person. He's naturally going to do that. But us, we're not to move carnally. We're spiritual. Um, we get First Peter 1 and 13, and it says, "Wherefore gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is to be brought unto you at the revelation of Yahushua Mashiach." And when you read that in the I think it might be the Christian Standard Version. Yep, it is the Christian Standard Bible. It says, "Therefore, with your minds ready for action, be sober minded and set your hope completely on the grace to be brought to you at the revelation of Yahushua Mashiach." Because we're going to be in manifold temptations, man. When ultimately we're going to be faced with the hour of temptation that's going to try everybody that dwells on the earth. But the Lord said, because you kept the word of my patience, I will keep thee from the hour of temptation. All right. Down here, the NASB 20, it says, "Therefore prepare your minds for action." Keep sober in spirit. Set your hope completely on the grace to be brought to you at the revelation of Yahushua Mashiach. And these are the things that's going to happen leading up to the return of Yahushua. And he's going to come and he's going to deliver us up out of it. Okay? So that's why we're jumping up. It says 1 Peter 1 and 5, who are kept by the power of the Most High through faith unto salvation, ready to be revealed in the last time, because our faith is going to be tried like unto fire, man. We're going to go through that pressure. It says, wherein you greatly rejoice, though now for a season, if need be, you are in heaviness through manifold temptations, that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahushua Mashiach. All right, and we're gonna have to go through that fire, man. Going back to 2nd Ezra 16, reading down 2nd Ezra 16 and verse let me see, I'll start at 67. It says, behold, the Most High himself is the judge. Fear him, leave off from your sins, and forget your iniquities, to meddle no more with them forever. So shall the Most High lead you forth and deliver you from all trouble. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. They're going to have you at a place where you're idle or you're in detention, and they're going to try to convince you to receive something. Back in the time of the Greeks, they was trying to make Eleazar eat swine's flesh, but he was a man of honor, and he wasn't finna go for that. So they was like, all right, well, we'll give you some lawful meat, but pretend like it's that swine we trying to give you. Nope. And he took his death manfully. Okay, and it's no different than when they put the three holy children in the fiery furnace because they wouldn't worship the idol. But this devil, he's trying to get us to bow down to his image now. He wants us to accept his new world order, agree with his way of rule, and come up under that. He wants to put that charagma in your skin, and that's going to connect you into that system. All right, that's more than likely what it is that he's going to try to give you. All right, being idle in that place of detention. It says, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden under foot. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And that's these armies that Esau is going to send out after us, to gather us up and try to take us out. Certain brothers going to be delivered from it, and then certain brothers are going to be martyrs. Some of us are going to go through the guillotine. But hey, the devil shall cast some of you into prison that you may be tried, but be faithful, you know, be faithful unto death, and the Lord will give you a crown of life. All right. It says, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. But they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord. Behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. So the Lord's we're gonna go through the trouble, but we're gonna be delivered up out of it. Okay, that's when we're gonna finally see the sign appear of the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven. And Michael the archangel, he's gonna stand up for us and defend us and deliver us, man. All right, that's when divine intervention is going to intervene on the behalf of the Lord's chosen. And some brothers are already going to have power even before that time. So we're preparing for that, man. All right, and we seeing the way things are going right now. With this orchestrated, engineered global economic collapse. We already see that they're starting to pull the plug. In Germany, they're having to resort to food and fuel rationing. So it's going to get bad over there, and if when it gets bad in countries like Germany, that really has they have a basically their economy is very healthy, but now that they're going to suffer blows from the sanctions that they put on Russia from the West, you can already know that it's going to get real bad over here, and this place is dying out. And guess what? There ain't no contingency plan to get you through that. There's no underground railroad you can build to get you through it. So that's why we got to prepare ourselves, man. So anyway, I'm gonna end off, right there. And Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. And give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shem Shai. And until the next lesson, Shalom.